Hey everybody, my name is John DePietro, and it's a pleasure to welcome you to this edition of My Life with Kenny Rogers. But you know, the best part about this show is that it's not about my life with Kenny Rogers, but the life of our special guest, who's Dave Twiss. And we're going to welcome Dave in just a second. But first, we want to tell you that this is one of a series of commemorative videos that we're doing about people who've worked with Kenny, whether they've sung with him, whether they've been in the band, whether they've been in the crew, even if they've been his bus driver or super fans. And today we've got a little different look. And we want to let you know that if you want to get a copy of all of these, which are available right here on YouTube, all you have to do is down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, there's a little red button that says subscribe. And when you hit that, there's another button that pops up that I think is a bell. And what that does is notifies you every time a new segment comes out. So we will have several of these, and they'll be coming out over the next few months as we remember Mr. Kenny Rogers. So with that being said, our guest this show is the choir director for 7 shows on Kenny's world-renowned Christmas shows. And from what I'm told from the band, these guys were one of the best. And that being said, let's welcome Mr. Dave Twiss from Burncoat Senior High School in Worcester, Mass.
Thank you, John. Thanks for having me.
Dave, welcome to a show about you.
Well, thanks.
Okay. So you had an opportunity, as we said, to talk with Kenny, to work with Kenny for 7 shows over many years. What was the thing that you took the most away from working with certainly an entertainment legend?
Well, I think the thing that impressed all of us the most was how gracious Kenny was to us every time we were there. He had a kind of a speech that he would give us about how it's not Christmas until the choir shows up. And it was always very moving when he said it, but it also was very inspiring to the kids and to me to be able to join somebody as amazing as Kenny on stage in front of such an adoring audience. And it was wonderful of him to share that with us so many times.
And on the ones that you did down at the big casinos, 10,000 people, that must have been kind of interesting for you as well as the kids to play, knowing that there's 10,000 people out there. Of course, you couldn't see them because the lights are all on you, but just knowing there's 10,000 people out there must be daunting for a performer.
Well, it certainly was to me. I think the kids take things in stride a little bit more. I remember the first time that we did the casino, which was also the first time that we worked with Linda Davis. And she was on stage for our warm-up, and one of my sopranos was looking around, and she said, "How old were you when you played or sang in a show in a room this big?" And I said, "Today." So, yeah.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Talk about Linda.
Oh, what a joy. Everything about her. We did, the first one we did was with Rebecca Lynn Howard, and the second one was with Billy Dean, and the rest of them were all with Linda. And so wonderful with the kids, such a joy just to chat with. And on stage, she just was energy everywhere. Every note that she sang was exciting and filled with joy and love. I enjoyed every second we had with her.
So Go Tell It on a Mountain had to be a highlight of what the kids must have loved singing, because they could really belt it out, right?
Oh, yeah. And that third verse with the yeah. There's in my classroom over to the right in my classroom, there is a sticker on the window of the Death Star from Star Wars. And so when we practice the movement for Go Tell It on the Mountain, we'd always, remind them, when you get to that moment, you have to point to the Death Star and, sing, yeah. And so, we'd always say, "This is Linda, Linda's the Death Star." So point to Linda,
Oh, that's too funny. That's too funny. So Steve helped you out quite a bit, Steve Glassmeyer. Then Kelly kind of ran the whole show. Talk about those two guys and what you remember most about their roles in making this thing work and making you guys feel comfortable.
Yeah, well, Steve, would rehearse us, and he was also usually our point coordinator as to what time to show up and how to get in, etc. And so he would rehearse us, and the very first time that we did it, it was a 3,000 seat hall, I think, up in Lowell, and he was, I think, concerned because we had not done it. It was a snowy night. Everybody was running late, and but he walked us through it patiently and pointed out, where we needed to be, how we needed to do it, etc. And as time went on, it was just every year was like seeing an old friend. Would come in and Steve would just say, okay, you know what to do. You over here, do this, do that. And most of the time it was just saying hi and happy to see each other. And Kelly, the thing I remember the most about Kelly, who was, he just had the showbiz vibe about him, that he knew everything that was going on, and nothing fazed him. And we were, the last time that we worked with them, we gave them all gifts, photographs that my wife had taken of the area. And
really? Okay. I didn't even know this.
Oh yeah, and so when we went out to have to have the picture taken with Kenny, we're in the hallway. I guess it wasn't the last time; it was the next to the last time, because we thought it was the last time. It was the first time we worked with him on The Gambler's Last Deal, and so we had pictures, and we gave one to Steve, and we gave one to Linda, and one to Kenny, and then we gave one to Kelly. And they're all of the pictures from our neighborhood here in Barre, Massachusetts. And my wife, Diane, had taken this beautiful picture of a monument down on the common, surrounded by fall trees and everything. It was a really beautiful picture.
Yeah, in New England, especially fall in New England.
Oh, sure. And so we gave that to him, and it's kind of an obelisk of the thing. And he looked at it, and then, in his Southern accent, he said, "This is beautiful. Tell me about what this monument is." And I had to stutter for a second as I said, actually, that is a Civil War monument. So this is a monument for our ancestors killing your ancestors, but it's still a Civil War monument.
Our ancestors killing your ancestors. Nevertheless, it's still a monument.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's too funny. That's too funny. And, the funny thing is, you never know who you're going to bump into at those shows. And I know the kids always would get a kick out of coming down into the dressing room area to get the big picture with Kenny, at least at the casinos. But then, going back up into the stands to watch the show, realizing that, they had just been, co-stars of a very, very lifting. I mean, at the end there was always the standing ovations.
Oh yeah, the huge difference and the opportunity that these gave us to experience this was amazing. We typically would perform in the terrible auditorium at Burncoat Middle School with the hard seats. Parents would be getting antsy. They had just sat through performances by ensembles that their kids were not in. It's Thursday night. Right. I want to get home to watch Grey's Anatomy. It's just a very frustrating place and situation in which to perform. And so the most we get really is kind of, isn't that nice? They did a good job. And then, to go into this hall and perform for these massive audiences and to receive that kind of love in return, it really was something that they had never experienced. It's something I never experienced before. But they were really inspired by the work they did with him.
Exactly. Hey, if you're on a laptop, can you just tilt that screen down a little bit so that, there we go. Much better. Much better. It looked like you were a little kid trying to reach over trying to look over
Yeah.
the fence. No, a little bit more.
How's this? I'll sit up
There you go.
straight.
Much better. Much better. So, did the kids ever comment early in the year about, hey, Mr. Twiss, are we going to be able to do that again? Because I know you didn't do it every year because we rotated a few times between Burncoat and Wachusett to try to get,
Yeah.
Some variety of the Worcester area. But did kids ever come up and say, hey, we're going to ready to go and that type of thing?
It was usually the first question of the year. Are we doing Kenny this year? Are we doing Kenny? And I would always say I probably won't know until October or so anyway. But yeah, it was 10 years from the first time to the last time, and we did it 7 times in that 10-year period.
Yeah.
And Wachusett had done it prior to us. I think Assumption had done it a couple of times.
Yeah, a couple times in there too.
Yeah.
I know one year that you guys were up in Lynn.
Yes.
And, Kelly kept saying to me, "Where's the choir? Where's the choir?"
Yeah.
Getting around Lynn with a school bus is a difficult task.
Yeah. We were sitting on 128 with a less than cooperative school bus driver who felt that she knew better than I how to get to this place. And we came in, we were in there by the skin of our teeth that night. That was a tough night.
Yeah. I don't even. Well, luckily you didn't have to do a lot of rehearsals because by then you guys were pretty well versed in it.
Yeah.
The kids comment today that kids have graduated. Well, how about, let me ask you this. You said it was 10 years from the first one to the last one. Did any of those kids from the early years ever comment to you as when they saw you later on saying anything about the show?
Oh, sure. It was a huge experience for all of them. And a lot of the first few, they didn't realize how big a deal it was until they went to college. And they mentioned it, casually in a choir rehearsal. Oh yeah, my group worked with Kenny Rogers, and the silence that would, occur among the people around them. And the choir director was always very impressed that they had done it. And many of the kids who were at the first couple attended later ones as young adults and just went to the concert and to hear, the ensemble perform with Kenny again.
Yeah. Seemed like the kids got better every year.
Well, I think they took it more seriously every year after the first one. I remember the very first one, we had a conversation in my classroom and you gave me the music and I kind of glazed over because it was pretty tough music when I looked at it.
Oh, was it?
And yeah. I started teaching it to them and it was going slow. So I went down to Mohegan Sun to see the event, and I had just gotten my first GPS. And
yeah.
And it took me this bizarre route. And I ended up getting pulled over by the police on the way down because I was in a industrial park at 7:30 on a Saturday night, and I shouldn't have been there. And so I ended up getting there very late. But I was like maybe halfway through the first half of the show before I got there. So none of the Christmas stuff had happened. And there was a college group performing on the stage for the second half. And this was with Rebecca Lynn Howard. And she started the show from the audience, and the second half of the show ended up singing to me in the audience, which threw me off to begin with. I'm not a good audience participator. She goes up onto the stage, and then Kenny came out and they started the Christmas music. The little kids came out and sat with him, and then the college appeared behind him. And when I heard them sing, I remember saying to my wife when we got home, we're in trouble. This trial was amazing. I have a lot of work to do. And we just put aside everything and just started banging on this, these great arrangements that that Kenny had for his Christmas music. And so by the time we got to the Lowell Auditorium, which is the first one we did, it was well drilled into their heads what they had to do. And it was when we left the Lowell Auditorium that night, I know I felt like, but I think all the kids did too. We felt like we had really accomplished something amazing for a high school group. And I think that energy was there the next year when we did Lynn. And so that helped build it. And then every year that we did it after that, there was excitement the first day the music was passed out. That hadn't occurred the first time. I mean, the first time, some of my freshmen had never heard of Kenny Rogers. He was the guy on the Geico commercial. So, so I remember one of my kids looked up, those things you can look up most, wealthiest musicians, that type of thing. And somebody looked up Kenny Rogers, and he was like number 24 overall for all musicians of all time. And the kids came back and said, well, why does he want us to sing with him? And so he wants us to do the best job we can. The point is, we want to sing with him. So let's do a great job so that we get to do this again and again and again. And it was it became a steamrolling process. So every year we had more kids who knew the arrangements, and every year they were more excited about it.
More excited about it. Now, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think it was you guys that I said, let's play a little trick on Linda and have them start singing the Lady Antebellum stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you're sitting down. The kids are all behind Kenny and Linda in the choir, and what did I do? I give you a signal, or one of the kids a signal. What? Tell the audience, tell our group, tell our viewers what you did.
Well, the kids learned the first verse and chorus of an a cappella version of "Need You Now."
Need You Now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
let me stop you for a second. We should back this up. We're assuming that everybody knows who Linda Davis is, but Linda Davis was Kenny's co-star in the Christmas shows, but she's also the mother of Hillary Scott, who is the lead female singer. As Linda says it, she goes, "My daughter's the chick in Lady Antebellum." Now, Linda said that, so I can say it, but Hillary Scott is Linda Davis Scott's daughter. So go ahead.
Right. So they just started with something like a tung 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 type thing, and the ba da 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 dum bum. The kids started singing, and she was very moved and very excited about it. I think it was Hillary's birthday that day.
Oh, is that right?
And she was really very excited about it. And the last time that we worked with Kenny, taking your idea, we sang an a cappella version of "We've Got Tonight" to Kenny the last time that we were with him too. So when we were getting the picture ready.
Okay. Okay. Super. Yeah. Super. So, the life of a musician is, it's a different life, because you spend, 80% of your time practicing and 20% of the time performing. Or Dave, do I have those statistics even not totally correct? But, to spend the time practicing and then have the opportunity to what am I saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would say it's more like 95% of the time.
95.
And then 5% of the time performing. And it's really important that when you're performing, and especially for kids, that you're in the moment and that you're aware of what is coming out of your mouth, how it's blending with everybody around you, and what is happening in front of you. that you are standing with one of the greatest musicians of the 20th and 21st centuries. Somebody who has had more hits than most people they think are great stars, and that this man has invited you into his world to be a part of this evening. And so we would discuss things like that a lot, that you have to be aware of where you are, be aware of everything. Do not pass out. Keep,
Do not pass out.
Keep your legs nice and loose, and just, don't pass out. So,
Don't pass out, yeah.
yep.
And now as Kenny's no longer with us, I think the magnitude of his stardom is even greater when you look back at all the tributes that came out right after after he passed in March. Yeah.
And I got, like, the day that I heard he had passed away, which was right at the beginning of the whole quarantine thing. I remember I put the article from, I think it was Billboard, the article I saw, and I put it on Facebook. And I heard from, I would say, in excess of 45 or 50 kids who had done the concerts with him, and dozens of parents who were, so happy that their kids had gotten the opportunity to spend some time on stage with this amazing performer.
Well, when you figure the millions of the multi-millions, I think it was like 50 or 60 million albums, CDs, records, whatever you want to call it, sold. Not everybody is up in that category, and certainly in the music world, in the pop music world, and country today, people come and go like the wind. I mean, you're a star one day, and you're a trivia question, a few months later. So to get 55 or 60 years out of that, and that you guys had an opportunity to learn from, is really special.
Yeah, I remember I was talking to Randy Dorman, the guitar player, one night before, while we were waiting for Kenny to come down for the photograph. And
Randy was also the staff photographer.
Yes,
the team photograph.
And usually very stressed about getting things done and everything, but he was always very gracious. And we were talking, and I was saying that, how when I was in college, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a touring musician. And he kind of like gave me this knowing grin and said, "You probably wouldn't like it." And it occurred to me, I read Kenny's book, which is a great book, and he basically got on a bus in the mid 1950s and didn't get off of it until somewhere in the year before he passed away. And he thrived at it. But things like that are why he had several wives and several different
lives as well
along the way. I'm kind of happy to be able to come home to Barry.
But you do have a picture. I know you had a whole wall full of Kenny stuff, but there was one picture that you said special you wanted to share with us.
This is the last time, I try to get it without the glare there. If I back it up, the last time that we performed with Kenny, hang on a second. This was at the casino, and it was for the tour that was called The Gambler's Last Steal. And he, there we go, a little bit. And so, that's me between Kenny and Linda, and my select chorus, the Burncoat High School Quadrivium Chorus, or the Quad. And this was the last time we got to see him. Well, it was the last time we got to see him as a chorus. You did invite me to go see him up at the casino, in the casino ballroom in New Hampshire, before he did pass away. But the that was a very funny evening because, I mean, on stage, Kenny engaged several of my students in a conversation on stage, which just one of them just responded by staring at him. She didn't know what to say at all because she was so overwhelmed that he was talking to her on stage. And one of my students in this picture, let me see if I can find him here. No, I guess it was the year before. One of my students had actually been with Kenny on stage as one of the child actors.
Oh, that's right.
Years
When they were
old.
doing the other parts. Okay.
Yeah.
And then graduated to got to
Choir.
that part.
Yeah, so he had worked with Kenny. I think he did it all 4 years that he was with me, and he had done it twice as a very little boy as an actor.
Probably through Karen Shea. Because Karen had the role that in fact you know what? I'm glad you brought that out. I got to give her a call because we're trying to find people that were impacted by Kenny. And that, when you say the kids, I mean, I'm dumbfounded when you say that after he passed and you put that picture on Facebook, you had 40 or 50 people as kids and parents contact you to say, probably thank you for that opportunity, or it was a highlight of my kid's career or something like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, each one of those evenings was a highlight of my career too. Now with there's a cat wandering into my camera.
Oh.
Yeah, this is Roscoe.
That's going to be the most commented on part of the video, by the way.
Yeah, he walked onto the back of the piano and came around.
Are you on a piano too?
Huh?
Are you on a piano?
Yeah.
So Gene Sisk, we did some rehearsal with him, who was one of the keyboard players. He was on the piano when he took it. Warren Hartman, who was a former music director, was on the piano when he took it. Mike Zimmerman, the drummer, had drums in the background when he took the picture. And that's so funny. Musicians, what I'm learning is musicians are really in love with their I got to say this the right way, with the instruments that they, hang out with.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's
this is my favorite piano that I'm at here, there are guitars, there are everything around me. So
yeah,
this is a music room at my home. So
great, super. So Dave Twiss, we want to thank you so much. And any parting words you want to say about Mr. Kenny?
Well, if anybody from his family ever gets to see this, I cannot thank Kenny enough for being as gracious and as wonderful to me and my students as he was. And just thank you for such an amazing career with such wonderful songs. I think about him constantly. Every time I have one of his songs come up on the radio, I immediately remember what a wonderful man he was.
Yeah, that's
and
great.
Thank you for making it possible for my kids and I to be a part of the Kenny Rogers story.
Perfect. Dave Twiss, Burncoat, I should say Burncoat Junior Senior High School. Is it just
Burncoat High School?
Burncoat High School, the home of the Patriots. And
that's right.
You know what? Thank you so much for taking time from your busy day. And folks, if you enjoyed this video, hit that button down on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, and you'll get everyone when you subscribe to this. And we want to thank you so much. And Dave, you got that piano there? You want to go out in a blaze of glory?
Sure, I'll give you. I know it's late. I know you're weary. I know your plans don't include me. I'm not Kenny Rogers.
Okay. Now, wouldn't it be a hoot if we set it up that Linda Davis came out of that room right behind you and started singing we've got tonight.
That would be phenomenal. If you can set it up on Zoom, I'd love to do it.
Yeah, we'll try that. Perfect. Okay, Dave. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.